Face toxic people by avoiding these 7 behaviors. Respect is earned through consistent actions, but even small missteps can erode it over time. Have you ever felt like people don't take you seriously or fail to acknowledge your worth? The truth is, some habits, often overlooked, can undermine how we're perceived and harm our personal and professional relationships. In this video, we'll uncover the 7 habits that push people away and damage your reputation, offering insights to help you rebuild respect and strengthen your connections. The Stoics believed that respect starts from within, rooted in personal integrity and the ability to control our own actions. By identifying and overcoming these destructive tendencies, you can align your behavior with your values and project the confidence and self-respect needed to foster meaningful relationships. Let's dive into these habits and explore how breaking free from them can transform your life. 1. Complaining. Have you ever found yourself trapped in a cycle of negativity, constantly pointing out everything that's wrong with your life? Complaining might feel like a harmless outlet for frustration, but it can quickly become a destructive habit that shapes how others perceive you. People may start avoiding you, associating you with a cloud of pessimism, rather than seeing you as a source of positivity or resilience. The Stoics, renowned for their teachings on self-control and personal growth, regarded complaining as a waste of time and energy. Epictetus emphasized this with his timeless wisdom. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Instead of lamenting circumstances, focus on how you respond to them. Complaining doesn't solve problems, it merely magnifies them while draining your mental and emotional resources. One personal story comes to mind. Early in my career, I constantly complained about my job. The management was disorganized, the workload felt overwhelming, and I believed I was undervalued. I thought venting my frustrations to colleagues would help me feel better, or perhaps rally some support. Instead, I became the person others avoided. Conversations grew shorter, invitations to social gatherings dwindled, and one co-worker even told me, "You're exhausting to be around." That moment hit hard, but it also pushed me to reevaluate my approach. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us to focus on what is within our control. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By shifting your perspective and concentrating on actionable solutions, you can transform adversity into an opportunity for growth. For me, this meant taking ownership of my challenges at work. I began streamlining processes where I could, communicating my needs clearly, and finding gratitude in the small victories of each day. Breaking the habit of complaining doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means choosing a constructive path. When you focus on solutions rather than problems, you not only improve your circumstances, but also inspire others with your resilience. You become the kind of person people respect and want to be around. Complaining might offer momentary relief, but adopting a Stoic mindset provides long-term strength and dignity. 2. Humiliating others. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's words made you feel small or insignificant? Now ask yourself, have you ever done that to someone else? Humiliating others might sometimes feel like asserting control or superiority, but in reality, it's a reflection of insecurity and a lack of empathy. Beyond damaging the person on the receiving end, it tarnishes your reputation and makes it difficult for others to trust or respect you. The Stoics were clear about the value of treating others with dignity. Seneca wisely said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." To humiliate someone is to disregard their humanity, replacing compassion with cruelty. This behavior creates resentment and erodes the very foundations of healthy relationships, both personal and professional. I remember an instance when I witnessed a manager berating an employee during a team meeting. The criticism was harsh, public, and unnecessary. The room fell silent, not out of respect for the manager, but because everyone felt the sting of second-hand humiliation. Over time, the team became disengaged, morale plummeted, and the employee eventually left. The manager may have thought their actions were asserting authority, but all it achieved was alienation. A personal story I'm less proud of involves a time when I made a sarcastic remark about a friend's efforts at a group project. It was meant to be light-hearted, but the impact was far from it. They stopped contributing to the project and grew distant afterward. That incident taught me a painful but necessary lesson. Our words carry weight, and even off-handed comments can leave lasting scars. To avoid falling into the habit of humiliating others, consider the Stoic practice of sympatheia, the idea that all humans are interconnected. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee. When you harm others, you harm yourself." Instead of tearing someone down, offer constructive feedback privately and with kindness. You'll not only preserve their dignity, but also foster mutual respect and trust. Humiliating others might provide a fleeting sense of power, but it costs much more in the long run. Treating others with respect elevates not only them, but also your own character. The choice is always yours, to diminish or to uplift. Choose the latter, and you'll find that respect follows naturally. 3. Talking too much. Have you ever left a conversation feeling like you did all the talking? Or worse, that the other person walked away disengaged or annoyed? Talking too much isn't just about dominating conversations, it's about failing to create space for others to express themselves. While you may feel enthusiastic or eager to share, excessive talking can make people feel undervalued and disconnected, eroding their respect for you. The Stoics emphasize the importance of listening as a virtue. Epictetus stated, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Conversations are meant to be exchanges, not monologues. When we talk excessively, we rob others of the opportunity to share their thoughts and perspectives, unintentionally sending the message that we value our own voice above theirs. I once worked with someone who had a brilliant mind but an unfortunate habit of talking endlessly in meetings. He would often derail discussions with tangents, leaving little room for others to contribute. While his ideas were good, they were overshadowed by his inability to listen, creating frustration among the team. Over time, colleagues stopped engaging with him altogether, preferring to avoid conversations that felt one-sided. Reflecting on my own experiences, I've realized how easy it is to fall into this habit, especially when trying to make an impression. At a networking event early in my career, I spent so much time talking about my own work that I missed valuable opportunities to learn from others. It wasn't until someone politely excused themselves mid-conversation that I realized how self-centered I had seemed. The Stoics remind us that restraint is a powerful tool. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not be ashamed of help. It is your duty to fulfill your potential as a human being." To fulfill this potential, we must recognize that listening is just as valuable as speaking. It allows us to learn, connect, and build relationships based on mutual respect. If you find yourself talking too much, pause and practice active listening. Ask open-ended questions, genuinely engage with what the other person is saying, and resist the urge to dominate the conversation. Not only will this make others feel valued, but it will also deepen your connections and enrich your understanding of the world. In the end, talking less and listening more demonstrates humility, respect, and emotional intelligence, qualities that naturally command admiration. As you step into your next conversation, remember, it's not about saying more, it's about saying enough. 4. Undervaluing yourself. Have you ever caught yourself downplaying your abilities, brushing off compliments, or even openly criticizing yourself? While humility is a virtue, Constantly undervaluing yourself sends a dangerous message to others and, more importantly, to yourself. It can erode self-confidence, diminish how others perceive you, and create a cycle where you believe you're not worthy of respect or success. The Stoics taught that self-worth stems from understanding our inherent value as rational beings. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By constantly belittling yourself, you give away that power and allow external validation, or lack thereof, to dictate your self-esteem. I remember a colleague who, despite being incredibly talented, always began presentations by apologizing for her work. "This probably isn't very good," she would say, or "I'm not sure this is what you were looking for." Her talent was undeniable, but her words planted doubt in the minds of others. Over time, people began to assume she truly wasn't confident in her abilities, and her opportunities diminished because of it. I've fallen into this trap myself, especially early in my career. After receiving praise for a project, I would downplay my role, attributing success to luck or to others. While I thought this showed humility, it actually made people question my capability. It wasn't until a mentor pointed out that I was sabotaging my own reputation that I realized the harm in this habit. Epictetus reminds us that our focus should be on living virtuously, not on seeking approval or diminishing ourselves to appear modest. "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do," he wrote. This means embracing your strengths while working on your weaknesses, all without letting self-doubt overshadow your efforts. If you often undervalue yourself, start by paying attention to how you talk about your achievements. Instead of dismissing compliments, practice saying, "Thank you." Acknowledge your contributions and take pride in your work, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. Over time, this shift in mindset will not only change how you see yourself, but also how others perceive you. By valuing yourself, you set a standard for how others should treat you. Confidence isn't about boasting, it's about recognizing your worth and living in alignment with it. When you respect yourself, you invite others to do the same. 5. Not accepting criticism. Have you ever felt defensive or dismissed feedback outright because it felt like a personal attack? Refusing to accept criticism is a habit that not only limits your growth, but also pushes people away. It signals an unwillingness to learn, adapt, or improve. Qualities essential for earning respect and building strong relationships. The Stoics saw criticism not as an affront, but as an opportunity for self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I am making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I will gladly change. It is the truth I seek, and the truth never harmed anyone." This mindset turns feedback into a gift rather than a threat, allowing us to grow from the wisdom of others. I recall a time when I led a team on an important project. My manager offered constructive criticism, suggesting changes to my approach that could yield better results. Instead of listening, I brushed it off, convinced that my way was superior. The project suffered as a result, and I learned the hard way that pride can blind you to valuable insights. On the flip side, I once worked with a colleague who embraced criticism with grace. She would actively seek feedback after every presentation, genuinely considering each point and applying the lessons to improve. Her openness not only earned her respect, but also accelerated her professional growth. Epictetus reminds us, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." To accept criticism, we must first acknowledge that we are not perfect and that growth comes from understanding our flaws. This doesn't mean taking every comment to heart. It means discerning which feedback is constructive and using it to refine our actions. If you struggle with criticism, start by listening without interrupting or reacting emotionally. Take a moment to process what's being said and thank the person for their input, even if you disagree. Reflect on the feedback later, identifying parts that can help you grow. This approach not only fosters respect, but also demonstrates maturity and humility. Criticism is not the enemy. It's a guide to becoming a better version of yourself. When you embrace it, you show others that you value their perspective and are committed to continuous improvement. Respect flows naturally to those who are willing to learn. 6. Interrupting others. Have you ever been in the middle of sharing your thoughts, only to be interrupted? It's frustrating, isn't it? Now think about how often you might interrupt others, whether out of excitement, impatience, or the urge to share your own perspective. Interrupting is a habit that communicates disrespect, signaling that you value your words over the other person's thoughts. Over time, it can erode trust and make people reluctant to engage in meaningful conversations with you. The Stoics believed in the virtue of patience and the importance of listening. Seneca wrote, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." Interrupting others undermines this balance, turning conversations into competitions rather than collaborative exchanges. True respect involves allowing others the space to express themselves fully before contributing your own thoughts. I remember working with a team member who had a habit of interrupting during meetings. While his intentions were often good, his behavior frustrated others and stifled their willingness to share ideas. One day, a colleague pointed out, "When you interrupt, it feels like you're dismissing what I have to say." That simple comment was a turning point for him, and it made me reflect on my own tendencies to cut people off. There's a lesson I learned the hard way. In a group discussion, I interrupted a friend who was sharing a personal struggle, thinking I was offering helpful advice. Instead of feeling supported, she felt unheard. Her response, "Can I finish?" stung but was well-deserved. It made me realize how easily good intentions can be overshadowed by poor communication habits. Active listening is a skill that requires practice and discipline. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Give yourself the gift of silence and listen intently." To break the habit of interrupting, focus entirely on what the other person is saying. Resist the urge to plan your response while they're speaking. When they finish, pause briefly before replying. It shows that you've truly considered their words. Conversations are about connection, not competition. When you allow others to speak without interruption, you create an environment of mutual respect and understanding. You'll not only earn their trust, but also gain valuable insights that you might have missed otherwise. Remember, sometimes the most impactful thing you can say is nothing at all. 7. Gossiping. Have you ever been tempted to share a juicy piece of information about someone, even when you knew it wasn't your place? Gossiping may feel harmless, even entertaining, but it's one of the quickest ways to lose trust and respect. What starts as a seemingly innocent conversation can escalate into misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and broken relationships. The Stoics cautioned against meddling in the affairs of others. Epictetus wisely said, "Keep silence for the most part," or, "If you speak, say only what is necessary." Gossip wastes time and distracts us from focusing on our own growth. It also erodes the foundation of trust, both for the person being talked about and for those listening, who may wonder what you say about them when they're not around. I'll never forget a mistake I made in college. A friend confided in me about a personal struggle, and although I didn't mean any harm, I shared the story with another friend. The news spread, and when it got back to her, the look of betrayal on her face was unforgettable. Our friendship was never the same, and I realized how my actions had hurt someone I cared about. In another instance, I witnessed a co-worker lose the respect of the entire team after spreading rumors about a colleague. The atmosphere became tense, and the damage extended far beyond the person targeted by the gossip. It taught me that gossip doesn't just harm individuals, it poisons entire communities. The Stoics believed in engaging in conversations that uplift and inspire. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Let no act be done without a purpose. Instead of gossiping, focus on discussions that add value to your relationships and encourage personal growth. To break the habit of gossiping, start by pausing before you speak. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say true, kind, and necessary? If it doesn't pass this test, it's better left unsaid." Redirect conversations toward constructive topics, and you'll soon find that people view you as trustworthy and dependable. Gossip may seem like a small indulgence, but its consequences can be profound. Choose to be a person of integrity, someone who others can rely on to speak with kindness and purpose. By doing so, you'll build stronger, healthier relationships and earn lasting respect. If this video resonated with you, please like, comment, and subscribe.